started. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our session on our first Take30 session of the summer on why you should upgrade to Cognos Analytics 12.0. My name is Matthew Linehan, and I'll be moderating today's session. And joining us from IBM are Tim Aston and Jonah Muds. Tim's going to be running the presentation here today from IBM. If you have any questions during the presentation, please use the Q&A functions. So as I said, my name is Matthew Linehan. I'm one of the senior consultants over here at Ironside. I'm a platform specialist in all things Cognos, and I work with the managed services group, and I assist various companies with both direct development work as well as assisting with administration, answering tickets, things like that. Some upcoming sessions coming up in August, we'll be looking at generative AI and how your organization can benefit, and also looking at how IBM's security addresses today's challenges. So we look forward to seeing everybody in those sessions here coming up next month as well. So I just want to do a quick pitch that basically, Ironside is a great resource to use to assist with all your Cognos upgrade needs. We have a highly experienced team. We've done installs for companies all over the country. We've seen most of the weird things that you can see. And so we can be very helpful in helping to assess any issues you might run into with your upgrades. We'll do environment sizing and evaluation to make sure you're creating an environment that will support all of your business needs. We know all the ins and outs of server setup, how to get everything set up for your web servers. We also know basically how to do the whole process, including security. We've interacted with various security regimes and can get that working quickly. We also don't just think of this as upgrading from one version of Cognos to another. We do fresh installs, as well as sometimes we can do more of a triage installation for folks. For instance, we had a company down in Texas, a major beverage distributor, that had a cyber attack, and they had all their systems down because their server infrastructure was outdated and was presenting security risks. So we got together with them, and in a very limited engagement, we got them back up and working within a week, assisting them with all their Cognos upgrades. Well, rather, they weren't upgrades, they were just installations of their current versions, but then getting them very quickly back up to speed so they could support their customers again. Another good thing to do along with your upgrades is Cognos environment normalization and rationalization. They can help clean up your environment prior to switching over to a new server. And you can look at your activity patterns for both users and by report, and find any potential issues within your environments and resolve your errors prior to upgrading to a new environment. We also do a lot of work with license compliance. A very important thing to be aware of, both with a named user implementation, as well as with the processor value units that IBM implements, is that it's very important to stay within the boundaries of your agreements. And this can lead to unexpected expenses if things grow beyond what they're supposed to be. In the case of named user environments, it usually occurs with over-provision, maybe having people with admin permissions who shouldn't have, having too many viewer licenses, so we can help you clean up those and stay within your compliance. And we also deal with PVU environments. We'll install the IBM license measuring tool, aka ILMT, and make sure that all of your PVU environments are compliant as well. A thing that often goes unnoticed by customers that are using PVUs is that PVU values are tied to the particular type of process or an environment that you have, so that if you've done server upgrades, you can unintentionally be moving up to a higher level of PVU consumption that is expected. And with our services with license compliance, we can help you catch those things and resolve them before something like an audit could occur. The main thing that we do here in managed services is managed services support contracts. These are very useful, helping to troubleshoot and assist you with all aspects of administrating your Cognos environments. We provide the right resources at the right time for folks, make sure that you have regular patching, we can upgrade you on a regular schedule. We also provide direct report development on the side, as well as mentoring to assist your own developers. And we just want to serve as force multipliers to make sure that you spend less time on the harder aspects of your administration and keep things running smoothly. We also have a BI development practice, and they will do assistance with larger Cognos projects to make sure that you can very quickly and easily stand up both your metadata, databases, and your reporting needs. So thank you, and hopefully you enjoy the rest of this presentation from Tim. I'll turn it over to him, and he will go ahead with the content from IBM.
Great, thank you very much, Matt. And thanks to the folks at Ironside for hosting us. Today I've got my colleague Jonah here as well in the chat, and we're going to talk about Cognos 12. It's brand new. It was released a little over a month ago, so you can all get it today if you haven't already. Whether you're in the cloud or on premise, it's available across the board. And when we talk about the vision for this new Cognos 12, the focus is really about AI-powered insights faster for everyone. And I know that's a bit kind of marketing sounding, granted, but there are a few important messages in here. For one, I think we all know that from an AI perspective, the world has really changed in the last 6 months or so. And so it's going to be the expectation of users more and more that they're going to be able to use AI to help them be more efficient in their work. So bringing more and more AI power to Cognos, it's something you're going to see in this release and in future releases as well. And we want to make sure we get those insights to users fast too. At the end of the day, performance really does matter. People don't have time to wait around. We're all busy. We're all trying to do more with less time nowadays. And these are features not just for maybe data analysts or financial users or that kind of thing. To be competitive in this day and age, businesses need to have a data-driven culture. And what we're really passionate about here at IBM is delivering tools to help you build that data-driven culture, to help you make more data-driven decisions and be able to grow your business more effectively. So here's where there's a paradox around that, though, is, we're getting more and more data, but actually most of the data that businesses get is still not analyzed. 60% by according to this particular analyst, Ventana Research. I've seen numbers from different analysts. They're all very, very high like this. Not only is most enterprise data not analyzed, but very few users in an organization are actually analyzing the data that is being analyzed. According to the second analyst, Bark, only 15%. And again, I've seen a few different numbers, but they're all in that range. So, this is a paradox because we know that being data-driven, making data-driven decisions helps drive the bottom line, helps with competitiveness. Yet, it's not really what's happening at the moment. So the good news here is that you all have an opportunity to help your organizations become more efficient and more competitive. And in Cognos 12, we're really building the tools to help you do that. So before I get into some of the cool stuff in Cognos 12, I do want to look back. Like Cognos 12 is a major new version. And we just finished doing our series of 11.2 releases. So I want to do a little recap on 11.2, where we had a whole new user experience with the homepage and the content nav, the new full page navigation. We got rid of all those slide out panels. Mapping saw huge improvements in 11.2. Cascading filters in dashboards is a great usability improvement. The narrative insights, it was a huge AI project for 11.2, where you can have textual descriptions in your dashboards. Let's not forget about the Microsoft Teams integration. Now you can have Cognos content right in your Teams environment. There was new data sources like Databricks, Dremio, more AI features around time awareness, and of course the mobile app as well. You can have the analytics in the palm of your hand using the assistant and other AI features. For data scientists, we have the Watson Studio integration, so you can have Python and R code running within Cognos, and the IBM Content Analytics Content Hub that helps bring all this together, not just from Cognos, but from your other BI tools as well. So 11.2 was a really exciting series. We had a lot of features for our longtime Cognos users in there, and 11.2.4 is a long-term support release. So you're free to stay on 11.2.4 for at least the next 2 years, plus another year of extended support. But I really encourage you to consider seriously the upgrade to Cognos 12.0, which I'll show you now, because there's some really compelling features here. By going to Cognos 12, it means that you're on the train to get all the newest features. There's no issues with, by the way, just being at 12.0.0, that it's any less stable, for example, than an 11.2.4. All our Cognos releases go through the same testing. They all have to comply with the rigorous security standards that IBM has around security testing. And they're all over the top upgrades as well. So you can upgrade from any version to any version. So like I said, you're free to stay on 11.2.4 if you prefer, having UI that maybe doesn't change. You will see fixes for critical issues over the next 3 years for that. But I think you'll find 12.0 really compelling. So let's take a look at some of the features. So right here, I'm looking at the new Cognos 12 homepage. It's actually very similar looking to 11.2.4, but there's some important changes, and let's talk about those. The most obvious one is you've got the assistant text box here. And this is what I'll really go into now. And this is about being able to get answers from Cognos without necessarily having to build a dashboard. And so you can launch the system from anywhere. It was available from the top right as well. You can use it in a panel mode as well as that full screen mode. You got lots of instructions here so that anybody can use it. It's telling you what data source you're using, which can be based on your role. It's telling you some types of questions that you can ask, as well as how you'll use some other features like creating dashboards and where to get help. And we'll see all of this as well. You can even have the assistant suggest questions to you if you're not sure where to start. You can see here there's a bunch of questions, some of them pretty relevant from my coffee chain data set, which is my data set because of my particular role. So you can assign different data sets to different roles. But I'm going to start with typing in a question. And again, you'll see some suggestions here too. There's going to be autocomplete as well. But my first question is just a very kind of nebulous question around sales. So I'm going to type in what impacts sales, because I'm not too sure exactly how I want this to go just yet. And right away, the assistant responds with the top fields that are influencing sales. And so I'm going to click on state, for example, because that's one of the things that influences. And right away, I get this chart, nice map. I can change the chart type that's showing me sales by state. I'm going to try a more complicated question here. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the video playback stuff off the screen. There it goes. So now I'm looking at sales by product line here. And so you can see a different chart type. If I wanted to share this, if I like this chart, I have the option to share this on Teams or Slack or email as well. Let's try another question now. There's all different types of questions that you can ask. Here I'm going to get a little more specific. I'm going to ask about sales performance in California last Christmas. And here's some of the oh, sorry, this is a different one. This was last year by product line. So some of the time awareness stuff here where you can say reference years. I'm getting a slightly different chart now. Also note these narrative insights off on the side, textual insights, as well as the visualization to help you see what's going on. Okay, so sorry, that went a bit fast there. I'm going to actually rewind that just a few seconds, if you don't mind. Because I wanted to see what I did here. Is we have these buttons on the bottom. I showed you the share button just previously. And then there's also the ability to now create a dashboard based on this visualization. So I click the create dashboard button, and right away I've been taken into the dashboard UI with that exact same chart. What I want to emphasize here is that the progression that can take place. You're free to ask all your questions and get your answers in the assistant, but you can also use it as a launch point to start creating more complicated content like this dashboard. And the assistant is always available to you no matter where you are in Cognos. So I was able to just open up the panel here using the icon at the top, and I've got the assistant here. It's got all my past history as well. I'm going to ask more questions here too, like compare sales. So I can do comparison questions, compare sales between Florida and California. And this will give me, again, a different kind of visualization, which I could drag and drop onto the dashboard canvas. I have a variety of options I could do with it. And notice here, even though I'm in panel mode, I still get the textual insights that I can read as well, which are pretty insightful, actually. They tell you things even beyond the chart. They're not just limited to what the data is in the chart. You'll see that I can have the option to easily change the chart type here as well. Now, one of the things to note is that all along I've been using this coffee chain data, which, like I said, is based on the my role, something the administrator would have set up. But I can change the data set that I want to look at any time. I'm not limited to that. I can use any data that I have access to in Cognos. It's all based on Cognos governance, by the way. Nothing here is going to the internet, to the cloud, or anything like that. This is all based on what data you have in your Cognos environment. So I'm going to change to a different data set now. I have some world economic data that I'm going to bring in. And you can see at the top that I'm now using that data set that's different than my initial default. And I'm going to use that suggest questions feature again. I'll just type it in this time. You can see some of the suggestions that I get here for different questions, and which I can just click on. And what I'm showing here is you don't even necessarily really have to type anything. This is more than just a chat interface. This is a whole interactive interface where I can just click through an exploration. I've got a chart here that looks pretty good. And what I'm going to do next is really cool. I want to create a dashboard based on this particular chart. So what I did here is I used the generate dashboard feature. And unlike what I did previously, where I just brought the current visualization that I was focused on to start authoring, I asked Cognos to generate a full dashboard for me. And you can see I've got 3 tabs here. I've got all kinds of charts here. It's based on the particular map that I was looking at, but there's a lot more here. And we're not saying that this is reading your mind and is going to create the perfect dashboard for you right off the bat. But you've got a great start here of showing you some different kinds of visualizations, different fields that are related to the fields that you asked for. This is a jumping off point that you can now modify to create the dashboard that you really want. And this is the kind of guided experience that I think is really unique to Cognos. You start with that natural language interface. I was just kind of, just clicking through, following an exploration. And now I've got something that I can use as the basis, as the inspiration for building my content, which could be a full, complicated, complex, interactive dashboards. So it's really the sort of user interface that anybody can use. And that kind of leads into the next feature as well. I'm going to show you some similar stuff, but I'm going to take a slightly different tact here because different users use the product in different ways. So I'm back on the home page. Oops, sorry, that's the wrong slide. I need to go this one. I'm back on the home page here. And as a new user or an infrequent user, I've got a variety of features here that just help me get going. And amongst those actually I'm going to rewind, were these 2 tiles here to help you get started. And if I've got, say, some file that I want to upload, I can just click on that tile, hit add file, hit the upload button, and get started right away. Cognos is guiding me through this experience. It's just telling me exactly what to do, prompting me for the upload, prompting me what to do next. It's got some recommendations here. Do I want to start creating a dashboard using drag and drop? And I can just do that. I hit that button and right away I'm here on the dashboard canvas with the file that I've uploaded. So rather than starting from the assistant, chose in this case to get completely started. I chose to go straight into creating a dashboard manually. And that's fine. We accommodate all kinds of users, but again, it was very easy. We had all the prompts right there so that you couldn't miss it, couldn't go wrong. And again, that's this point that these self-service features are the sort of things that are accessible to probably a lot more users than you have using BI tools today. And that's how we drive the data-driven culture, is we put BI tools in the hands of more users. All right, I want to switch gears a little bit. One of the things I mentioned off the top is that this is also about getting things to you faster. So let me just start by building a simple dashboard here. I'm going to do, and again, this is actually a good demonstration of how easy it is to quickly build a dashboard where I can just drag and drop some KPIs right onto the canvas. I'm using a built-in template so that I get a nice layout right off the bat. Cognos has its Viz Recommender engine, which is also AI driven to help pick the correct visualizations for what I'm dragging onto the canvas. I mean, they're really simple in this case. You can pin visualizations. So if you have visualizations that you like to reuse, which I do in this case, I've got some pins. I'm going to drag them onto the canvas as well. So dashboards are always interactive by default. As I click on different charts, they act as filters. I want to do a little formatting first. Sorry, I'm going to do some multi-select here and change my border color and put a border radius on it as well. Because dashboards should look nice, right? Okay, so we got a nice looking dashboard. Sorry, the bottom of the screen's cut off a little bit, by the way, but okay, they were in full screen mode. That looks a little better. Okay, so we're going to interact with the charts here. Like I said, these are interactive by default. So when you click around, there's filtering that happens. This requeries your data, and it's pretty fast in this case. I've got some pretty simple data on here so far. And let me save this dashboard. I'm just going to save it into my content, give it a name here quickly. Call it demo dashboard. And you can see this message that's popped up that's saying it's generated a local cache for this dashboard. So this means that on my browser, as the user viewing this, and it doesn't matter whether I'm an author or a consumer, that now I've got all the data on this cached. And as I click around, everything is instant. But it was pretty fast before because it was not a very complicated dashboard. So far I haven't gained a lot. But let's take this up a level. This is call center data, so I'm going to add a table with the call hour on it. And this is a big table. I think we've got over 800,000 rows in here. So here I've got the call hour, and I'm going to start clicking here. And again, it's interactive. It's acting as a filter. But you can see I've got this shimmering effect happening. And it took like, what, 3 seconds, maybe 4 seconds for the charts to update, because it's having to requery based on this filter, which is really ends up targeting, very specific rows from the data. So it takes a bit of time. So let me update that cache that I created by resaving it. So I've saved the dashboard again. Every time I save, that local cache gets updated. So let's click on call hour again. You see the numbers changing. There's no shimmering. It's instant because it's now cached. So what this means is that no matter what data you've got with your dashboard or how big it is, the interactivity is instant. And you can see how this is configured. This was automatic, but if I do want to configure it more, it's under the advanced properties of the dashboard, which I can just edit my local cache. I can see what has been cached, what's not loaded yet. I can choose to only cache certain tables or not. All sorts of settings I can twiddle with here, but I don't have to. I can rely on the automatic stuff. Note that I didn't have to go create any kind of data extracts or anything like that. This can work with any of your relational databases just fine, as well as uploaded files or data sets. It's really just that easy, and you get this incredible performance where all this filtering is just instant feedback. All right. Also on the performance front, I do want to mention when you are working with uploaded files, it's quite a bit faster in 12.0 compared to 11.2.4. For things of any size, it's 2 times faster or more. And that's not just the time, when you upload a file, it's not just the actual transfer of the data. We do analysis in there as well to drive our AI engine. Okay, let's talk about forecasting. Forecasting was a feature introduced a few versions back in Cognos. And then also in 11.2.4, we moved the settings of that into the analytics panel. But it's the same good stuff. It's basically single click in any chart with a time series to turn on this forecast. And those are the kind of faded purple lines in this chart. And then also in a recent version of Cognos, we added the ability so that you can select which fields you want to be considered into the forecast, not just the fields that are in the chart, but you can add additional fields as well, up to 5 additional fields to go into the forecasting algorithm, which I've done here. And you can see how the forecast has changed because of that. So again, this is sort of AI that's available with just a few clicks. But one thing that's important to us at IBM is that, AI is not magic. there is real substance behind how we come up with this. So now we have this ability to show the details of the forecast. And this is purposely technical because we're really putting out there how we got to this forecast, how we use different algorithms, what our confidence is, and that kind of thing, so that this becomes a forecast that you can really trust and rely on. The Microsoft Teams integration, I'll go through this a little quickly. We're actually moving through the time really fast here. Microsoft Teams integration is something that we introduced a few versions back in Cognos. You have the ability to push content from Cognos into Teams, as well as have Cognos content embedded in Teams. Like here, I've got this dashboard interface right here in the Cognos UI. Which you can interact with. You can have your chats off to the side with your colleagues. And then new in 11.2.4, we have the ability to jump straight into the Cognos UI from Teams, so that if you do want to explore this more in Cognos, you've got the opening Cognos button there for you to do that. A dashboard feature that's really cool is this new nested tab widget, where you can have tabs within tabs. So I've got my main tab at the top, sales dashboard, but then I created this new thing here. I'm renaming it to column chart. I'm going to add a second tab to this, put something in here. Let's rename that as well. Let's call that table. So I've got column chart and table. It's actually the same data. I can turn that into a drop down so that I can basically toggle between the two different charts of types of charts using this drop down now. So it's just a new way to bring more user interface options into a dashboard so that you can have more content, make better use of your space. So really, really nice UX feature. And then the last feature that I'll show you for today is an advanced feature in reporting, where in prompts, you can now have dynamic values that are created dynamically, default values that are created dynamically for you. So you can see in this particular calendar here that there's only some dates available, and that I had the 16th selected by default. And that's done using an expression now that you can control this ability in prompts, so that using either a field or an expression that you write, you can set what the default is. And I'll show you how you do that. There's a new view here, the parameters view, that you can go into, see your different prompts. And you can see that in this particular case, I used a simple expression to achieve that. And here's how you go about editing that. So yeah, you can use text as well. You've got a few simple options there. And I'll show you a few other examples of that you can do here. A couple more with calendars. Here I've controlled the range. You can only go, you can't go past July 21st in this case, and you can't go any earlier than March. Let's look at another example now. Yep, so you can see I can't click past. Got another example coming. In this case, I've got a list. I've selected the default values in the list. They're pre-selected, so that that would have come up automatically. Here's one where I'm restricting the month. Calendars are really kind of good use case for this, although like I saw with the list. Here's where I'm restricting it to just certain days in the month, and I've pre-selected the last day of the month. And then as well, you can apply a filter so that you can limit the number of rows that come out as well. So in this case, when I did this, I set it up with a row limit 3. So I only got 3 rows back there. So if you've worked with prompts in reporting, I think you'll really like this one. It's definitely for some more advanced use cases, but it's actually turns out to be really valuable and really powerful. And lastly, with this, there's a view to show all your prompts. So you can see in the particular report what prompts you have set up and how they've been configured. So you got that kind of at a glance view as well. One last thing, sorry, I said that was the last thing. There's one quick thing I just want to mention. There are improvements to extensions as well, like the ability to limit extensions to certain roles and groups, and to be able to add custom tabs into the content perspective as well. So this will mean that actually you can have, for different roles or groups, different folder tabs appearing in the content view for them using this feature. All right, so those were the highlights, and I didn't leave a lot of time for questions, so there's a lot of good stuff to show there. There's more features as well, but I don't know if we can go over a little bit for a question or two, but thanks for everyone's time so far.
See, the question about, actually, I think, Jonah, that's an answer to the answer you gave back about the sources for dashboards.
Yeah, Tim, we're chatting about creating a dashboard from a framework manager package.
Oh yeah, no problem. So
I think if you click on the package in, I'm just gonna answer live. If you just click on the package in your content where you can see it in Cognos, and click on the top right in the 3 buttons, you can create a dashboard from that package.
And I think too, in the question where he's talking about from uploading a single Excel file, would it be true that he would have to use that Excel file to then create a data module in order to use it for dashboard reporting? I think that's what his follow-up question was.
No, Excel files or CSV files can be used directly in a dashboard or the assistant. You don't have to create a data module.
But if you want custom calculations or navigation paths to make your drill down, drill ups better, it's a better experience if you want to create a quick data module. I think it took me 5 minutes to do one the other day, so it doesn't take too long just to add a couple extra features.
It depends. Yeah, for sure. Especially if it's something that you plan to share with others, you're probably better off building a bit of a data model in a data module. If you're doing ad hoc, you can do a lot of that stuff directly in the dashboard. You can create calculations, custom groups, a few things. But yeah, if you're getting more advanced and if it's something that you want to share, probably the data module is the way to go.
And also a brief question on changes on the administration side and with installation and tuning. Do you have anything you want to address on that, Tim?
The nice thing about 12 is it's still the same architecture as 11.2 and really hasn't fundamentally the same architecture as 11.1.7 as well. So the upgrades go really smooth. There's not really much different on the architectural side. From the managed perspective, we didn't introduce any major new features there in 12.0 from 11.2.4. In terms of system requirements, they're basically the same as well. So it's actually a really smooth kind of upgrade to do it. It's not hugely impactful, which is great because all of the architectural elements, even the things that drive the AI, were fundamentally there, and we've kind of built new features around them. But the actual architecture itself has been very stable.
Okay, thanks, Tim. I think that's all the time we have. So we'll be sure to distribute out the recording of this webinar to everybody. And Tim and Jonah, thank you very much for your time. And everybody, have a good afternoon.
Thanks a lot.